Comcast Business goes beyond with the extraordinary speed, reliability, and security your business needs. That's everything you want, all from a single provider on the nation's largest gig speed network. Make the switch. Call 1-800-501-6000 today. Comcast Business. Beyond fast.
Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Call for details.
Good evening, everybody. This is KCREGINALDJR.
This is J-Dub, Justin Waters in the building.
Welcome to Underdawg Sportz. Welcome to the show again, everybody. It's Friday. We normally freestyle today, but we've got an agenda. It's the top two, J-Dub, KC Reggie.
Yes, sir.
And we going to do this thing the way we used to.
The dynamic duo. We're going to keep it moving. We got our guests. Don't worry, folks. We didn't get to kick them off. We didn't delay them. They will be back. Joe will be back on Monday. Omar will be back on Friday. We ain't missing, but we got to do what we got to do to get to where we need to be.
Got to move the show along. We're going to start off this week's show in the NBA. We're going to go to a team we rarely start the show off with, the San Antonio Spurs this week. Greg Popovich missed a few games, and Tim Duncan was the fill-in head coach.
Yeah, so, okay. Tim Duncan was selected as the head coach over Becky Hammon and some of the other assistants on the San Antonio Spurs. I was kind of shocked when they said Tim. Tim just got to be on the bench as of this year. The last couple of years since he's retired, he's been in his home area of the Virgin Islands, helping out with all the devastation that's been down there. He has his own body shop, and he's just been doing random stuff in San Antonio, a couple businesses and stuff. But this is his first time actually being on the bench. And for Pop to have whatever personal reasons he's had, chose Tim over Becky Hammon, who people still fail to realize her team won the Summer League championship twice, 2 years in a row, or runner-up the year before, but last year won the championship. And I'm not understanding why Pop chose Tim over Becky. I couldn't understand that. I mean, unless he's trying to guide him on to being a coach to help him out and think Becky's probably already ready. I'm not 100% sure why he did that.
So, I mean, it's just a few games. My big question on this is going to be gender sensitive, I guess. Is the league ready for a woman head coach?
If any league would be ready for a woman head coach, it would be the NBA. Compared to, look how the NFL at first hated they weren't a big fan of the women referees. People fail to realize the women referees have been around in the NBA for going on almost 2 decades now. They came in 2002 or 2003, if I'm not mistaken. So for a coach to be there, especially after them being coaches in the G League and coaches in the Summer League, I don't think it would be a horrible transition for it to be a woman in the regular league itself. Like, again, this is an easier transition than what it would be for other sports. Other sports, there would probably be a lot of kickback. This, I don't think so.
So, listen, our country is sexist, so I'm going to say that, and I'm just going to let it be out there. Our country is sexist. We've yet to have a female president, and I find it interesting to see if a team would be willing to make a woman the face of an organization. We've got a woman owner in Jeannie Buss out in L.A. Why
But
can't a woman
that's a
run the
technicality.
locker room? It doesn't matter, technicality or not. She's still an owner.
She inherited. She didn't
Hey,
buy it though.
she's better than the man in New York.
We'll get to that one.
I'm just saying. It's a first off, is it gonna ever happen? Let's go there.
Yes, I do. Because if you look at all the basketball leagues outside of the NBA, we're meaning Europe, a lot of, again, I specify Europe, G League, outside of college basketball and pro basketball, which are the two biggest, every other one has experimented with a women coach. Hell, even the big three had women coaches. The TBT, who is the basketball tournament, which you see on ESPN in the summertime, they had a woman coach that went to the conference finals or the division finals, however you want to call it, with the TBT. So I think the NBA, especially with Adam Silver always trying to be on the cusp of being the cutting edge league, and that's always started with Stern, now with Silver. I see that coming. I'd be totally shocked if it did not necessarily go down.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate now.
Okay.
What happens to the men in the locker room where now they have to walk around butt naked in front of a head coach woman? Like, what's going to happen to all the workplace rules then?
It's the same thing that happens with Gino Auriemma has to do with all the women in his locker room with UConn. He waits until they are fully dressed, and then he comes in and teaches their team. He doesn't go a day before. He doesn't go in there while they're in their bras and drawers. He doesn't do that. It's the same exact thing for the women. So whether it's Becky Hammon, Nancy Lieberman-Klein, or any other female that can take over the reins, it's still going to be in the same thing as far as that's concerned. Once the guys are dressed, they go in. Plain and simple. Yeah, it's not going to be a lot of this bitch and I smashed that.
Yeah.
It won't be a lot of that in front of her. Yeah, that's disrespectful. She's not going to take that. There's not going to be a lot of that. That's agreed. But if you're on a mature team, prime example, I'll give you one, the Lakers. If you're on a team like that where you got a bunch of guys and a bunch of mature people and a guy like LeBron who's always wanting to try to do something experimental like this and always is about everybody's rights. That's why sometimes he gets a bad rap for being too damn friendly. I can see it happening. San Antonio would be the perfect market because, again, if Becky's the coach, don't think Pop is walking away scot-free. It's almost, I have the feeling Becky would be the coach, almost like how, let's be honest, when you look at Miami with the Heat, Spoelstra didn't coach that team all like that. Pat was calling that from the box.
Well, we know that.
Duh. So I can see the same thing. With them getting Tim Duncan, I don't know if that's to me, honestly, San Antonio has been struggling greatly. And it's already bad enough outside of the city of San Antonio, which they're going to ride or die for their team. They have not been making headways. They're not getting the same airtime that they used to because
they're not as good. Yeah.
So, correct. So what do? You call Tim Duncan. So you get those fans that think Tim Duncan, just like Indiana did with Larry Bird, just like the Lakers tried with Magic Johnson. You try to get those fans, those diehard, Tim Duncan's back. That may change the team. They at least pique an interest. Even though Tim Duncan's personality is not for coaching. I watched some of that game. Tim Duncan is a yeller. That's never been his personality. For him to change to be a yeller now, I would be totally shocked, and that's not him. Tim Duncan is a laid back, chill. He was a silent assassin when he was with the Spurs all those years. You didn't really see him romp and yell. You didn't see him getting them mad. The only time I ever seen Tim Duncan mad was Kevin Garnett getting to it. And that was that little bit low-budget rivalry they had in Kevin Garnett's T-Wolves days. Other than that, Tim Duncan is not that personality. And I think Pop knows that. Pop is just trying to go ahead and make sure they keep cheeks in the seat. Because I will say this. Although the NBA is ready, redneck, I'm not going to say that. Redneck.
Oh, here you go.
Culturally unsensitive people are not at times. We dealt with this with Jason Collins. We're dealing with this with Kaepernick. We're dealing with Jason Collins. We're dealing with Kaepernick. We dealt with it with Michael Vick, where culturally they'll say it's not good for the game. Well, the game is still going to be played regardless on the field or on the court. So, like it or not, if you don't want to watch, don't watch. But that may bring another fan base. I think Becky Hammon will bring in a bigger fan base as far as a different women's perspective is concerned as well. The only thing that would be scary is Becky Hammon's coaching will try to have now women trying to go ahead and blend the NBA and the WNBA, which I don't know if that's a good idea.
So you have that. It's a lot to make this work, and I know that the NBA would probably be more inclined than any other major sports league or association, whatever they call themselves. But I think this is a bridge over a body of water that doesn't need it. I get it. If the young woman deserves the job, then if she's the best person for the job, fine. But I don't want it to be a publicity stunt. When you do a move like this, you better make sure it's going to work for the long haul. Because now you are the first one to hire a woman head coach. You're likely going to be the first one to have to fire a woman head coach.
That's true, too. But let me ask you this question. All right, this is not the Knicks. See, the Knicks would be a publicity stunt. This wouldn't be the Cavs. That would be a publicity stunt because those are two struggling markets that at this point trying to do anything to get fans. The Cavs lost LeBron. They know they're never going to be shit again. The city of Cleveland is doomed. Like it or not, y'all doomed. The Knicks, we'll get to them, but you get what I'm saying. The Spurs is a quiet market that have diehard fans. The Spurs can suck. I mean, even though the fans are used to winning, I mean, they've been doing it for 20 years straight. More than that, actually. It's possibly in the range since, 97? We're in 2020, and I think he's only had one. This is going on his only second losing season. Anyway, they know the Spurs fans are going to come. They're sort of like Raiders fans before they move to Vegas. They're going to come like it or not. They can go 0-16 or 16-0. They're going to come. And I think the same thing with San Antonio. I think this would be the market for her, for Becky Hammon, or whomever, we'll just say Becky Hammon, to make things happen. I don't think this wouldn't work with any other market. It'd have to be a small tier market where she can go ahead and not get the media scrutiny and not have to be under the media eye all the time. I don't see a ton of cameras flying to San Antonio every single weekend trying to go ahead and get the watch while on Becky Hammon like they would do in New York or LA or even Chicago.
Bro, I'm telling you,
so
you're
that's why
wrong.
I don't think it's worth.
In that particular instance, you are wrong. Every single day for at least the first 2 years, she's going to have more questions than Pop ever had. And I'm talking about when he was the world champion coach. Like, this will be the biggest thing that ever happened to American sports if they make a woman the head coach of a basketball team.
I just don't see that as – this would be like the shiny carrot now, the shiny new toy. So it's cool now once she starts winning. In fact, once they start playing and the game is still the same, I don't see it being as big of a marvel as what it is. Again,
I absolutely do, though. I'm telling you, the scrutiny is going to be so much more intense because she's the first. Now, I would say this. If you're going to do one, do at least two. Try to
I'll give you that.
Try to take some of that impact off of having to carry being that first one. Because
now,
I'm telling you, there's going to be scrutiny out the ass out of every move she makes. If she does one thing wrong, it's going to be scrutiny. And I know our media is going to try not to, but they're going to do it because the fans are going to do it.
Well, let me ask you this question. When Jason Collins came out and he was still playing, how long was the fanfare with that, where it was top headlines in the NBA? It lasted maybe a month. And after a while, it kind of just – he was still a basketball player that came out actively playing.
Right.
It kind of died.
It isn't like he did the Michael Sam thing where I'm trying to get drafted as the first gay player. I've already been in the league. By the time I tell you, I'm really washed up. And okay, I've been in the locker room all these years, so it's cool. But when you become the first head coach, you don't just become like if they did it interim, then you have something there. If he had done what he's doing now with Timmy D, with her, it takes that away. But because they didn't do that, you name her as the head coach of a team at the beginning of a season. You have all the hype going into a season is the first, all the marketing. If this had just happened because Pop got fired, that's not going to happen. Or the Cavaliers coach got fired and they had a woman on their bench and they elevated her. The Knicks, well, I wouldn't say that because he don't even like guys, so I don't. I don't think he don't like anybody. He don't like black people, apparently.
Well, no, I'll disagree with that one, but he's one of those ones that everybody has to replace because he does do a lot for black people under the Knicks. It's just how it has to be under his way.
How he's handling that team and players that have contributed tons more to that organization than he ever thought of. I'm sorry. He's got some kind of problem.
Now, let me ask you this question real quick. So, here's the one thing about with Becky Hammon. It seems like ever since she got hired, she's been on Pop's staff for 3 years now. She purposely retired from the WNBA early. Pop asked her to be on the staff. Pretty much everybody on Pop's staff knows. It's even been out in the media. It's not been it's going to be practically seems like a win. Is it going to happen type deal? So this is the thing I'm trying to figure out. Is Pop transitioning her for the Spurs job? Or is Pop transitioning her for her to be the next head coach somewhere else and Timmy D be the Spurs coach? Because this is the thing I'm trying to figure out because we've all talked about Becky. If you really watch basketball, and not saying you in particular, but just saying in general, if you see that in basketball, Becky Hammon's been riding that bench, and Pop's been ejected several times where Becky had to technically be the interim coach for a quarter or a quarter and a half, or however long Pop got ejected. So it's to the point where I'm saying the media shouldn't even be surprised because it's now like we kind of know this is going to happen. We're just waiting for when. It's just like, all right, when Pop's ornery ass can get off this bench, and Becky's going to come up. The Tim D is throwing me off because is he transitioning Timmy D? Is this a thing for fans? Because they are losing fan support outside of San Antonio. But San Antonio did have a following for a second, But, of course, winning changes everything. If you ain't winning, I ain't spending tickets if I'm away from San Antonio. You know what I mean? You're not box office anymore. Y'all now with going on with the Hornets. Y'all not selling.
Yeah, so very small market. But that leads me to a different question then. If you're saying that Becky Hammon's been there and she's been filling in when Pop gets ejected, etc., where did the decision come from to put Timmy D in charge?
Now, see, that's my question.
Did that come from ownership instead of from Pop?
Right, because Pop is the president of the team. R.C. Buford is the GM and Pop is the president. So he's president/GM. Remember, he started as the president of the Spurs and fired Bob Hill and took over as the coach and ain't never looked back since. So that is a good question. Where does that come from? Now, that's an answer I can't give you. But if we were looking at all the tea leaves before Timmy got on, which, can someone tell Tim Duncan he don't look right with that hair? It's like half Milli Vanilli thing going on. That look weird. Anyway, I don't know. He's too tall for that or something. Anyway, whatever the case may be, that's the only thing I'm trying to figure out. Okay, whose call was that? Did Pop just say, hey, Tim, you up? Because, again, Popovich is one of those psychological coaches. He always seems like he's kind of like Belichick without the cheating. He's always 2 steps ahead of everything. So that's why I was trying to figure out, like, Pop didn't make that decision. Like you said, he didn't make that off the cusp or off the whim. It seemed like that was something strategic. And I really think that Timmy wants to be a coach. and I want Becky to be a coach, so why not get in? I wouldn't be surprised if Pop misses another game, Becky gets called up next. But if I'm going to go honestly, if Pop retires tomorrow, Becky's the head coach, plain and simple.
Well,
easy. She's more X and O's than Tim right now. Tim even said,
but
I just got a great staff with me. I'm just yelling. I was yelling at people. His own press conference.
You're saying it like Pop has this decision to make. If Pop retires,
he's not taking no. He's retiring from coaching, not president. He still stays as president. He's not. He's just retiring from coaching.
Okay.
So he's Pat Riley all over. He wants. It's Phil Jackson wanted to be.
We will.
So I'm just going to sit here in the back.
We will stay tuned to that situation in San Antonio as to who the heir apparent to Hall of Fame coach Greg Popovich is. As I think we kind of said earlier, he said he wants to retire soon. So I think this conversation is going to happen sooner than later.
Well, I think he retires after the Olympics if they have one. The way they canceling stuff now, but I think he honestly after the Olympics is over. Remember, Pop's the head coach. I think he retires after that.
So we
ain't got nothing to prove.
So we kind of went here a little early during that San Antonio segment, but our next up topic was James Dolan and his disastrous ownership out in New York. Justin?
All right. So you got James Dolan. Ladies and gentlemen, if y'all didn't know, Spike Lee, yes, the Spike Lee, yes, the same Spike Lee, Mr. He got game, do the one of my favorite movies of all time. He got game, do the right thing, X, Inside Man, and countless other movies. Die-hard New York Knicks fan since day one. Season ticket holder, front row seat holders for 28 years. 28 years. So you're talking back into the 90s. And that's when it says Spikey finally got on the front row. Remember the Reggie Miller stuff happened in, 96?
Yeah. Listen, Spike Lee has been a what's the word?
Icon,
a pest.
Really,
a pest to every superstar that ever went into MSG against the Knicks. It's like every superstar that went into that arena wanted to heckle Spike Lee because they were dominating these Knicks, especially in the last 20 years. All the way back, I'm sorry, but they had good teams, and I think they actually went to an NBA Finals when Michael Jordan retired.
They did not. They went to the final in '99.
Yeah, when Michael Jordan retired.
Well, actually, both times Michael Jordan retired, the Knicks went to the finals, 95 and 99.
Yeah.
Both times Michael just retired.
Yeah. But, anyway, Dolan kicked him out because of a dispute over a entrance that he's been taking for 20-plus years. All of a sudden, he cannot go through the staff entrance. He now has to go through the VIP entrance. This is I don't know.
Stupid.
I don't know.
This was stupid.
Yeah.
Well, you say you don't know. This was stupid. If you don't contact, if you don't want a guy to stop going through the same entrance he's been doing for 23 years, if you've been bending the rule for 28 years, you've been bending the rules longer than you. The rule has been bent so long that it's legal to drink now. So you mean to tell me that all of a sudden you change the rule in the middle of the season, in another losing season, that Spike can't go through this entrance? Did you email him? No. Did you contact him? No. And then the owner comes at halftime of the game and said, hey, we need to talk. And then he asked about why we need to talk, and the owner said, we just need to talk after the game. Okay, cool. He doesn't even make it to after the game. You want him out of the arena during halftime. James Dolan is one of the worst, and I think everybody's talking about one of the worst owners in sports history. He is a trust fund baby. The original Dolan that owned it, his father, had that team right back in the 90s. Then James inherited it 2 years after they went to the last finals, which was against the Spurs in 1999. And the Knicks have been nothing but a clusterfuck ever since. Between dealing with issues with Stephon Marbury, the whole rape case situation with Isaiah Thomas, this stuff with James going to be extra sensitive, the whole Phil Jackson debacle. You've only had one superstar in their prime want to coach to the Knicks, and that was Carmelo Anthony. And you treated him like
destroyed his career.
Correct.
um,
You destroyed his career. Then you had you get lucky, draft Kristaps Porzingis, and then you don't put him with any talent, and his only guy that he trusted on the team you get rid of, which was Melo. Crazy.
So if the word sports franchise failure was in the dictionary, James Dolan, whoever, what's his name?
Paul Brown.
Yeah, whoever the owner is in Cleveland now.
Jim
Haslett, Paul Brown.
And Paul Brown, who owns Cincinnati.
Is there something else that's like a bottomless pit of ownership that's never done anything?
Whoever owns the Pirates every other rotation. The Pirates get sold like every 6 years, so we never can keep up with them. But yes, whoever owns the Pirates.
But I will say this: the Pirates have great scouting, and every 5 years or so, y'all put good teams out there for a couple years.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, literally two.
I mean, because you can't ever keep the guys once they start playing well. But for a couple years, every 5 or so years, y'all are consistent at that. The Cleveland Browns have been consistently bad. The New York Knicks have been abysmal, especially to have the largest market in professional sports. To repeatedly run, for no better term, shitty teams out for 20 years and have the audacity to get into it with one of your most loyal fans. One of the only, hell, people go to Knicks games to see what Spike is going to do because the team is so bad.
Here's a question. Do you think that the Lakers would have did that with Jack Nicholson?
I don't think the Lakers do that with anybody. But I will also try to play devil's advocate here. First, apparently they talked about this seat thing in a game, and they shook hands about it prior to this incident, about this entrance thing, I'm sorry. And what is the problem with not having access to the players' entrance and the media entrance if you're not players or have credentials? Like, it's called a VIP entrance, for God's sake. It isn't my entrance. It's not general admission. It's not Royal Club. It's called the VIP entrance. So
I get that. Oh, go. I'm sorry.
So I mean, we have to have some type of disagreement, or we're just going to get along with each other for an hour and a half. And I've been told that's not what I've been told that's not what sells. So I'm just gonna say, like, what the hell is the big deal by just being in VIP? Like, it's in the name. Very important persons.
Okay, so with very important persons, I should be able to do what I want because ain't no one else.
I have an entrance for you.
Ain't everybody else spending $3,000 a ticket? It's the employee entrance. We'll go with that. Let's play this one. Don't you think that's a cheerful thing? If I'm an employee and I gotta go watch this bullshit ass team and this garbage ass owner put out this horrible ass product, to see Spike Lee walk by giving me a high five, hey, what's going on? Because Spike Lee even said he knows half the people there. He says he knows them, the employees. To get a picture or a selfie with Spike Lee, hey, that brings up their day. Other than that, I gotta watch this bullshit. Come on, man. Yes, I know I'm getting a check, but still, let's be realistic. This is garbage.
But if you know them, take them out for a beer. High fiving them in a hallway. Whoa, that's gonna make my deal. That's gonna make my day.
Reggie, if you got a chance to have Patrick Mahomes go through the employee entrance when you were still working in Kansas City,
bro, that was every day. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes at the time. It was Elvis Gerbach. I literally sat next to him, and I told him, dude, I understand what you're hearing out there, but I still believe in you, even though he sucked. Hey, I
You the only one,
was,
dude.
I was,
You in
but
his moment.
I mean, but it didn't like make my day. I didn't ask him for an autograph or anything like that. Like, dude's a player. Like, he was
Yeah,
paid to play,
but,
and I get
but
it. Some
Elvis is
people,
small potatoes
I mean,
compared to Spike.
but I'm not. I mean, I was 18. I'm just saying, this happens.
I just don't.
Like
I think this is just
go ahead.
this is just dumb with on all aspects, just because the fact of the matter is he's being petty again. Not Spike, but Dolan.
I get
He already
that.
kicked out
He's
Charles
an
Oakley,
idiot.
But you can't. The only thing good on the franchise right now of the Knicks is Spike.
That's what I agree with that.
Name, like I said, if you can sit there and name me more than 5 superstars that's willing to, no one's willing to come to the Knicks. You know what
Bro,
the Knicks have become?
how about this? I'll give you one better. Name me 4 New York Knicks right now without looking.
Kevin Knox, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and dude, that took a lot for me to think about.
Right.
That took me a lot. Now the question is any of these guys going to be in were any of these guys in the All-Star game? Absolutely not. So no. Hell, the Knicks didn't have an All-Star. They had in the rookie game, but they didn't even have an All-Star.
But I'm gonna say this again, trying to play devil's advocate. Why can't he just go through the other door?
Because why does he have to go through the other door if you've been letting him in one door for 28 years?
Because I changed shit.
Here's you the big boss.
Yes,
boss.
I can do that.
Okay.
If it's my team and I want it to be, I can change.
Here's the thing. You know what? I'll give you the change if you inform me. Don't wait till I get to the damn garden.
He said in a separate occasion they shook hands about this.
No, they shook hands and said, we need to talk. That's not saying that we did something. That says we need to talk. So that means after the game, hey, Spike, I need you to go through this entrance. If you would have talked to Spike, as ornery as he may be, he'd be like, all right, cool, I'll go through this entrance. Don't wait for him to get on the elevator going up to the garden, going up to the actual floor with your security to tell him to change.
Brother,
because
I want to take it even farther. I want to take it even farther. Hey, if you didn't want him going this way, why did you have someone there to scan tickets?
Thank you.
Furthermore, why would you scan his ticket if your staff was prepared for this? To give you more ammunition, why would you then tell him, we need for you to leave the arena, go outside, go around to the VIP entrance, and re-enter?
So
that's trying to make a fool out of a proud man.
Because here's the issue I have with that. Just like Spike said, if you leave the arena, no matter if you're VIP or not, you can't come back. It's a safety issue. You can't. They can't rescan your ticket because it only scans once. So why I got to get back out to go back in? That's stupid.
So
it's New York City. It's March. It's still cold. I seen pictures. They still got that.
Forget all that. Like, what kind of point are you trying to make where you want me to leave after I'm in my damn seat or I'm already in the building heading to my damn seat, go back out and come back in unless you're trying to do basically a dick measuring contest?
Again,
this is being childish.
Sense. Right. And the thing is, with this case with Dolan didn't need to do this because Spike's never shitted on Dolan. I didn't know if you heard this, but Spike was one of the ones that Dolan called to talk to his celebrity friends when they were trying to recruit one Dwayne Wade, one LeBron James back in 2010. He's a fan. He ain't got nothing to do. That's like, okay, Reggie, you're a diehard KC fan. I need you to go ahead and recruit somebody. I need you to recruit me a couple cornerbacks. I need to recruit him to Underdawg
Sportz for a 5-minute interview.
Exactly. So you're a billionaire. You need to recruit him by showing your money. Don't recruit by going ahead and sitting there and having Spike Lee do it. I think that's the coward's way out. If you can't recruit it, or your staff can't recruit it, and your players on your team can't do it, then why are you getting celebrities to do it? Now, I mean, this is the NBA, and in any sport, they do use celebrities. That's honest. I can always go there with why Brooklyn Nets is there now was because of Jay-Z. They used Jay-Z's face to all of a sudden bring fans and stuff, but they never really made him an owner. But, yeah, this is trifling. Now, get to the point of what we are trying to. We kind of sidetracked, but we're still on. Should the NBA step in? Yes.
Absolutely.
I really think
it's time.
I think the NBA, it's time. Because you should the second largest city, or actually largest city market and revenue-wise, far as per capita, has one of the worst franchises.
For 20 years.
Honest. For 20 years. Brooklyn's only been around, remember, these are the former New Jersey Nets. The Brooklyn Nets have only been around for, 8 years? And now they're the talk of the town. Not only did Brooklyn at one point have KG, Paul Pierce, Joe Johnson, and Deron Williams. Now, all of them were out of their primes, and they were old, but that brought fans. Then you go ahead and you bring in now Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. Next year they're going to be formidable. Definitely, it'll probably be the tops of the East, if not the top of the East. But New York's still going to suck. You can't bring that franchise back because no one wants to play against New York. What everybody wants to do now is go to the Garden and see how many points I can score. So, Kobe was 60. LeBron was 60. MJ going back to the days was 55.
I'm going to go a step farther and say, if you can't even treat your paying fans right, how the hell are you going to recruit a player?
Correct.
Like,
why don't I just go down 20 minutes away to go to Brooklyn? I could win and be treated like a
and join one of the best players in basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just, if the NBA is serious or about New York basketball, the largest market in the world,
which they should be serious.
I understand the stadium only holds so many people, but it'd be nice to get some of these guys that's at home to tune into a game, because I know your ratings are struggling because you haven't been competitive in years. And the league is watching this owner kick players out, kick famous fans out for not breaking rules or causing a distraction. I'm going to tell you that the league should step in here. It's time to make him sell this team. But you also mentioned that he owns the Garden.
No, I was about to say, I'm about to play devil's advocate on it. You know why the league is not going to step in? Not just the Garden, because he's only a 25% owner of the Garden. He owns Cablevision, the Knicks exclusive network, which is the equivalent of like how UT has their own network. The Knicks have been around longer with Cablevision, and he's the owner of Cablevision, and he is the sole owner of Cablevision. So for him to lose that, sell the team, that means he's going to try to go ahead and put a ratchet in the Knicks Cablevision, which wouldn't be a bad idea. I mean, you can only watch Cablevision in New York and Jersey here. You can't watch it down here.
So I'm going to say this. If I'm the league, okay, because that contract ends at some point.
Correct.
And I can fire you as an owner, and then get someone in there that actually wants to build a team. And right as we're getting great and bringing in record numbers and ratings, that TV deal is up. And I know a trillion networks that would love to see a peaking Knicks team on their channels, stations, networks, brands, cable companies, dish networks. Like, seriously, if they're a competitive team. So what that he owns Cablevision?
I agree with you, because I will give you one right now that I know would be foaming at the mouth. Apple TV and Amazon Video. Both of them. To have a network, oh my God. To have a sports team, oh my God. Apple would have a field day.
To have a New York sports team that now that they have new ownership, people have hope again. And don't let them get good. Don't let them turn that organization around now that it's not been ran into the ground. You know how much money he's costing himself with this team being not as good as they should be?
A ton.
So yeah, the league should step in. And the hell with it. And as far as the Garden is concerned, that thing's got to be pretty old anyway.
Yes, it's right now. It is the oldest standing arena in NBA right now.
And
it is.
You can only renovate things so many times.
Very true. Very, very true. So we'll see what's going to happen with that.
Yeah. That's enough of the worst organization in basketball for the last 20 years, I guess. Like, every team has been better than them at some point. Cleveland won championships. Miami won championships. I guess Orlando's been pretty bad since, the Golden days.
No, Orlando's been to the finals. Remember, they went to the finals and lost to the Lakers.
They had their, I said after their Golden days where they made it to the finals. That's their Golden days.
No, the Dwight Howard days. That wasn't too long ago. Remember, that was only 10 years ago. 11. So.
You keep going back. In other news, the chef is back. Steph is returning to his 14-48 Golden State Warriors. Why?
Yeah, that's a great question. Now, he balled out yesterday. They lost to I don't know who they lost. I forgot. But he balled out. He had 22 points. He did struggle in shooting. He was only 3 for 12. But Steph, he put a great fight. But the thing is again, minus Draymond, minus Clay, and a bunch of guys he did not play with last year. Newly added Andrew Wiggins. But I don't see the point. One, if Steph gets hot, okay, let's bring up a couple factors. One, Steph broke his hand. What happens if he gets hurt again? And he broke his non-shooting hand, but that's also the hand that helps him guide the ball when he's shooting. So, okay, that's a factor. Two, if y'all start winning, it's harder and harder for y'all to get a lottery pick in at this point. Why the hell not? If you bring Clay, Dre, Steph, Andrew Wiggins, and a lottery pick, hell, y'all are back to talking about finals contention and not LeBron and the Lakers and Kawhi and the Clippers and whoever else wants to go and join the show. And KD, well, KD is in the East. But just staying in the Western Conference, you're back at being a power. And the next 3 picks that it looks like as far as the draft is concerned, one of them is a big man, which I have not had. That could be your next – he can't score. He's like a Hassan Whiteside, kind of poor man's DeMarcus Cousins. But y'all don't need him to score if y'all can score 50. So I don't understand why Steph Curry came back. I think it's commendable, but honestly, I think the real reason, I think the team wanted him to come back because those fans, that new arena that they're in San Francisco, the Chase Arena, has not sold out since they've been going, which I'm surprised. I thought they'd been sold out early in the season, but they haven't. They've had some attendance issues, so I think bringing Steph back is trying to seal that up.
So I'm going to say that on this show, we criticize players like Kawhi Leonard for not playing enough. We're going to have the audacity to criticize Steph for wanting to do his job and play basketball. We're going to criticize him for wanting to come back, even though the team is garbage. So what? He wants to earn his check. He's a basketball player that wants to play basketball. And I'm sorry, that should be given a gold medal in this day and age because we got basketball players that are absolutely amazing that refuse to play basketball as a full-time job.
what that is? We're gonna do this. Yeah, I get it. It's not right. We do go ahead and clamp down on Kawhi. I know the last couple of years I've gotten on LeBron for doing this load management BS. I do think Paul George did a couple of times. Hell, the Rockets are doing that right now with West.
He won't play tomorrow because of rest.
Right, on a back-to-back.
Ain't even a back-to-back.
Right, but I getting on his chest. I was mad yesterday. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and I said, I'm kind of pissed off that they made Zion play a back-to-back when he's not full healthy, but he wants to play.
Like, you're becoming soft.
I'm not becoming
You
soft.
are. You're getting soft. You're turning into one of these millennials. You're turning into a millennial right in front of my eyes.
I'm about to kick your ass.
I'm just telling you the truth. Like, come on, bro. You went from criticizing Kawhi on this show to now you're talking about you mad that Zion is playing a back-to-back. You're getting soft.
No, I'm worried about their health.
Oh, man, come on. These are basketball. He's 20 years old. He can't play two games of basketball in a row.
You're right. I got to take the Zion one off. I got to take the kid gloves off Zion. Now, Steph, on the other hand, I just don't. Steph, to me,
he wants to play. He want to do his job. Hell, employers these days should be doing backward flips that people want to go do their damn job because a lot of days you and I don't.
Here's the story. What I want to say is this with Steph, I can say this, and I'm saying Steph, but I call him Steph Curry. What I really want to see, I can't even say that. The Warriors remind me of that 96. Yes, I'm going old. That 96 Spurs team. Remember, David Robinson got hurt, sat out the whole season, but he could play. And that was Pop's second year. Pop was like, "No, you're not playing at all." Thusly, they tank the season and get the number one pick.
People pay money to go see this team. And a part of that team is Steph Curry. And Steph Curry happens to be one of the best basketball players to ever strap on shoes. I want to see him play if I pay my hard-earned money. Okay. I didn't buy season tickets to watch D'Angelo Russell and now Andrew Wiggins.
You did technically because you bought.
No, I bought season tickets because Steph Curry was the superstar on this team. And ugly ass Draymond Green too. That's why I bought tickets.
Draymond did load management. If you really want to be
but this is why I bought my season tickets. I didn't buy my season tickets for the likes of Andrew Wiggins. He wasn't even on the damn team to start the season.
That's correct, but you did buy it for Steph. So, all right, fine. You want to go there? I'll agree with you with that. I'm more worried about Steph getting hurt. He's going to be 32 this year. He's not getting any younger, and and if he hurts,
he's going to play a few basketball games. And he broke his hand. He didn't injure his legs or anything. He broke his left hand.
Which is just true.
It happens.
There's his guiding hand.
Great. Everything always does something. It's his guiding hand. It's not his shooting hand. He'll learn how to guide. He's a shooter. Cut that out. He can play basketball.
Wait, time out. We're going to take you to the court and see how many shots he can make with one hand.
I'm not saying he can make shots with one hand. He's going to find a way to guide the ball. And
what is he going to use for force?
I'm sorry?
What is he going to use? The force? He's going to use magic.
He's going to figure it out, and there's nothing wrong. He said, like, how long does a broken hand take to heal? 4 to 6 weeks. How long has it been?
Well, I don't know. It's been longer than that because he broke two bones in his hand.
It's definitely been longer than that.
Yeah, he's been out since October.
So
this is his first time back.
So it's a broken hand. October. It's March. He didn't miss 4 to 6 weeks.
Exactly.
He didn't miss 6 to 12. He missed because he wants to play he wants to do his job and he wants to play basketball. He's a basketball player who wants to play basketball, and we're criticizing that.
I'll give you that. Yes, I'll give you that. He's a basketball player that wants to play basketball, but he also is Steph Curry, who plays extremely hard. And I don't want to get my still $150 million man hurt in a pointless game.
Oh God.
You're gonna get hurt. Yeah. So
screw the fans.
We'll go here with that one.
Screw the fans. Screw the fact that they're in this brand. Screw the fans. The fact that they're in these brand new arenas. Some of them might not be back next year because God knows things happen. Coronavirus.
We'll pray. Yeah, shout out to the people that pay tickets for South by Southwest. I feel bad for y'all right now. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
They canceled that whole entire thing.
Like, but these people pay money to see the best players in the world, not one-offs. And if one of the best players in the world can play, I expect him to play because I paid. And if he doesn't play, I want a partial refund or all my money back.
You can't do that because if he's hurt.
I can't do that.
Because how many people.
But he's not hurt anymore.
How many people got their money back from Kawhi? How many people won't get their money back from us?
How many should?
I don't like. I'm not a James Harden fan. I want to see less.
How many should have gotten their money back when it was LeBron James? How many should? Like I said on this show, we've been criticizing this all season long, and all of a sudden no, I'm not a millennial. I think it's bullshit. If you can play, you play. Period.
Yeah,
you play.
No,
because I paid my hard-earned money to see you play. Not watch you clap in a suit when you can go out and play. If you're not injured, you play. That's what I paid my money for. That's why I root my heart out every daggone day, because I want to see you win. And when I see you give it a half-ass effort by sitting Russell Westbrook or Steph Curry playing hurt when he's not, or you're resting Kawhi Leonard, or LeBron James takes a day off because he's LeBron James and you can give him a day off. Like, this is not sport. Come on, bro. This is not the basketball you and I grew up with, and I'm quite offended that you're accepting this. I don't understand. Who is on the other end of this podcast? Because this is not the basketball that I don't see it. Because you're making Zion at 20 years old. I have a problem with Kobe. I mean with LeBron.
At least LeBron only took it one time, but
this year he took it one time. This year, we've been reaming these players for this. No, it's not acceptable. If he can play, let him play. Kudos to Steph Curry, and I am not a fan of his.
Crazy. I'm a fan.
Why
I was worried, like, oh man, don't get hurt again, Steph.
Kudos.
You already got bad knees.
Kudos to Stephen Curry for going out there and playing basketball because he got paid to, and he loves to play the game.
So there's rumors about Clay, before we get off the topic, coming back, and Clay's coming from ACL injury, like you said, a leg injury.
That's
Did
different.
You let Clay play?
No, that's different.
Okay.
You have to go slow because this is a leg injury, and these things tend to happen more than once. So you give him as much time plus some to get back. You bring him back very slowly because he's an aging player with one of those injuries that tend to happen more than once. But a broken hand, nah, bro. He's healthy. Let him play. He's not playing. I'm just saying it's healthy. It's healthy. If he could not play, they would not take the risk. It's not a risk if they're letting him play. If there was any chance,
they're just doing it for the fans.
No, they're not. If there was any chance that Stephen Curry could re-injure that hand, based off of what their doctor said, he would not be playing.
Wait, time out. And I know we're about to go over on this, but this is the same organization that said the same thing about Kevin Durant.
But this is different. They're 14-48. They're not going to ruin next season if he's not 100% healthy. They're not going to do it. They want to compete. next season. They expect to compete next season. So he's healthy, and if he wants to play, let him play.
All right.
And yes, Kawhi, I called you out. But since we're since we're transitioning there anyway, I want to make 2 points before I go into this. I said at the beginning of this basketball season, and I will reemphasize this again. The Los Angeles Clippers are the best, deepest team in all of basketball, and they humiliated the Houston Rockets yesterday from start to finish in that game.
Bro, I keep telling you the small ball thing is not working.
Bro, again, they missed a ton of shots. When they are not missing, if they had hit 8 more shots, they win the game. I said this when they were shooting. At this point, they were 2 for 25 or 2 for 31.
So here's my question to you. At the end of the first half, the Rockets were in 3-pointers.
They have to keep shooting.
Shots.
That's who they are. If they're not making them, they're going to lose anyway.
But they're 2 for 22.
I'm telling you, but I'm just telling you, if they're not making them, they're going to lose anyway. That's their style of basketball.
No, this is my problem. Let's go back to let's go with any superstar, any era, any team. Let's go back from the 90s on. If Mike struggled, he became a passer. If Kobe struggled, he became a passer. If AI struggled, he became a passer. If Harden struggles, he's still shooting.
Okay, but the rest of them sucked too. It wasn't just him. They all sucked yesterday. They sucked, every last one of them. And I'm going to say this time that it was the Clippers' great perimeter defense. And I'm also going to say the same thing I said in like October, November about the Rockets and Daniel House. Bro, if he's not making shots, he's useless to this team.
I'm not even going to take it all. Daniel House is one factor also. But the other huge factor as well with this Rockets team, they are getting out-rebounded badly.
But if they had hit 8 more threes, they win. None of those rebounds matter if you make 8 more threes. They listen.
If you can call the Rockets, hold up.
They could if they had shot 25%, they win that game. Not 35, 25.
25. Here's your problem. The Rockets are not a consistent 25.
Yes, they are. They were a 35% shooting team going into that game. 33 actually. The team was a 33% shooting team. They missed on 2 games, Justin. But in one of those 2 games, they happened to play the best, deepest team in all of basketball. They're not going to shoot 20% every night. They're going to shoot 33% more days than they shoot 20. And that's the bet that they're taking.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Is it me or PJ Tucker starting to look tired?
They all look tired when they're missing.
No. PJ looked tired against the Celtics, which they had to go in overtime.
I don't call it tired. Listen, and I like PJ
time.
Exactly. I like PJ Tucker, but they have no business have him holding guards.
They have no business having PJ. You know how many times PJ Tucker? I counted at least 4 times that he ended up for some odd reason guarding Paul George. Yes, Paul George is a 6'9", basically 2 guard, but he had to guard him. He had to guard Kawhi a couple times. PJ is getting passed around with everybody's top defender. This is a problem because when playoff time comes and you have these duels, PJ is going to be on LeBron 1 minute. He's going to be on AD.
Is not what they lost. They lost because they shot like 8 for 41.
And they don't have the D'Antoni system doesn't have a backup plan when they can't shoot. We learned that against Golden State. That's why they didn't win when Chris Paul was out. That's why they didn't win last year. That's when they couldn't win against the Portland Trail Blazers. When they start shooting like this is why they couldn't beat San Antonio. Do I need to keep going more?
Their bet is that they shoot more. They shoot 33% more games than they shoot 25. That's
But
their
that's great
bet.
to bring up statistics.
That's their bet.
That's great you brought up the statistics. But in the playoffs, we're talking about the playoffs.
Justin, and I'm talking about this is what their game plan is. Their
And
game
it sucks
plan,
because
even
they don't have a
against
plan B.
even against the Warriors when they would have beaten them, everyone thinks, had Chris Paul not been injured.
There's no
That's
plan B.
what it does. I mean, if you feel like you don't, that's their team, and their plan
There's no
B,
plan B for the
their
team.
plan B is to keep getting open
It's
shots.
against Cleveland. Okay, so when you're already down, if your stocks are not falling and you're down by 20,
Then they lose that game. They expect to be able to come back tomorrow and win that game.
It's a dumbass mentality.
Why? Because
Even
if you're averaging 33%, you get a game where you shoot 15, you're gonna get another game, the next one hopefully, where you shoot 50. Because
Well,
this
let's
is
bring up
how
a
you
good
play
point.
basketball. And the
Well, let's bring
odds
up a
have
good
been
point.
on their side.
Since when?
Since
if the
they're-
odds were on the side, they would have won a championship.
Bro, no, not one team wins a championship. No one said that they're the best team. I never
Okay,
said that.
Let's bring up a prime example. Let's go with a better shooting team in their prime, the Warriors.
And they
when the
won.
Warriors struggled, and when the Warriors struggled in shooting, if Steph struggled and Clay struggled, the game changed. They did
Justin,
other things. They
last week we all were saying, well, it's starting to work. This week they're struggling shooting. I'm gonna watch.
No, I didn't
I'm
say
gonna.
it was work. I still said small ball. I
We
said
can
small
go back
ball
and
was
listen.
working for the regular season. We can. And I still said regular season. I
Okay,
ain't never
and
said
we're
shit
not
about
in the
playoffs. Let's
postseason
not
yet, so we don't
It's
know
working
what
for-
happened.
So I said there will be a great regular season team. They'll make it to the playoffs. They'll lose in the first round.
Well, we'll
Maybe
see.
second.
We'll see.
I ain't not getting off of that.
Okay.
And they plan a team that they'll possibly play in the playoffs. Can the Rockets, the way they're playing now, be the number 2 seed?
They still can
Can they
because
get the
they have
number
one
two?
more tough game. That's next Thursday against the Lakers. So yes,
I don't think on the
they
real,
still can,
the way they're playing,
bro.
and I'm
They were
counting-
looking
and I'm counting
ahead.
them to win.
They were looking ahead to the Clippers on Monday, and they really should not have. And even they said that. Anyone
shouldn't have-
anyone watching that Monday night game, watch them start
no
to
way.
try to win that game in the last 5 minutes, and literally were getting beat and balled the entire night, and got within one layup if Harden makes it of winning that game. It was a layup, and it should have went in.
Even against the Lakers, they did not seem to. Now,
Well, they
played
got
against
the Lakers
team
next
that
week, so we can
Not the
have that
Lakers, excuse me,
conversation next week.
not the Lakers, excuse me, against the Celtics. And we're on the prime time
They
game
beat 'em.
last week. They beat them, but they struggled. If
They
it
didn't
wasn't for
struggle.
the
No,
fact-
no. If it
They
wasn't for
did.
the fact that James
They
Harden shot 4
struggled.
threes with 2 minutes left, up by 10, instead of driving the ball, that game would not have been close. They would not have went to overtime, but for some reason, Harden wants to dribble the ball out with 2 minutes left, up by 10. He wants to dribble the
What
ball out
actually-
and force a
what
three
actually did in the
instead of
second half?
drawing a foul with 2 seconds on the shot clock or making a layup.
And I said that's their game plan. Why do
That's
they keep
not
doing
that's
that?
not
It's
their
annoying
game
as hell.
plan. That was dumbass James Harden being dumbass James Harden. That wasn't their game
Bro.
plan. If you go back and watch that game, they drove the ball,
How
they
many times-
penetrated the ball, they hit more layups than they did threes. Because they did
Well,
not
how
just
many-
sit back and
exactly
settle
my
for the
point.
shot.
How
It's
many
James
times you
Harden.
let James Harden do that?
Well,
how many,
listen,
and how many times you let
Listen,
him do
I'm
that?
not going to
How
sit
many
here
games
and
has he
defend
caught
James
you
Harden.
doing
That's
that?
never going to happen. So you can give that
How
up.
many times has he done that?
Well, they
Because
still
that's
won the
possible
game.
too.
They
They're-
still won the game.
Luckily, I'm glad Kimber didn't play because they might have lost that
They
game.
may
if Kimber
have a lot of things, but they've beaten Boston 5 in a row now. So whatever. Listen,
So,
like I
they
said,
could try
once
this
the playoffs come, we'll see. I'm with you on the whole James Harden thing. Like, if he does dumbass shit like that, yesterday again proved he's not the best player in the world, so I wish he would quit smoking whatever good weed he has and saying dumb shit like that, because it makes him sound like Antonio Brown to me. That's how I feel about that.
Oh, I agree. I think he on some when he sits there. And says
Yeah,
that
I
he's the best
absolutely
player
think he's
alive.
high as hell. But the
He on
team,
that lean.
if they could stop, first off, they have to give up on Eric Gordon. They just have to. It's not working
I agree
this
with you
year.
to a certain extent. I agree to a certain extent with that because they need to give the ball more to Austin Rivers
and Macklemore
and let him shoot more. And Macklemore,
yes.
Correct. I agree with you with that one.
They have to give up on him. His legs are not there. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give him that excuse since he's been injured all year. But they have to let that go. And try to get the ball to Mac. Try to get the ball in Austin's hands. Jeff Green is going to be good against some teams, and they're going to have to use Damari Carroll against others. But
yeah, because it's not going to work either way.
Yeah, Jeff Green is not good against every team, and he was not good yesterday against the Clippers. He's not athletic enough at this stage of his career. So that was coaching, and that's got to get better. You have to see that. You have to be a better head coach than that. You got to know your personnel and know your matchup. You had to know.
That ain't happening. But I get what you're saying.
I'm just saying, all you had to do is say, listen, one of these two guys are more athletic. Look who we're playing. I'm going to use the more athletic one right now because he just match up better. He doesn't get blown by like he's on a freeway getting passed by cars and he's walking. Like, you have to be a better coach than that. James Harden is James Harden. Okay? Like, you keep acting like I'm going to change my mind here and all of a sudden become a Harden Nation member. I don't carry that card. I don't want that card. I think there are better players out there than him. A lot of them. I would take Jimmy Butler every day of the week over James Harden next to Russell Westbrook.
That I agree with. Just on the toughness factor alone.
And so anyway, the Harden led Rockets. Well, no, yesterday they were led by Russell Westbrook again. We've been saying that more and more and more and more and more and more. They were led by Russell Westbrook again. They did come up short, and they were blown out. But I'll say the same thing I said at the beginning of that segment. The Clippers are still the best, deepest team in all of basketball.
And now they just added Joakim Noah.
That does not make them necessarily better, by the way.
No, I'm not saying better, but now you have another guy that can foul people. I'm sorry, he's not the defensive player he was, but that's another.
He gives you 6 more fouls.
Exactly. I didn't send the text to go ahead and say he was going to go ahead and win defensive player of the playoffs. I'm saying here goes another body they can use to go ahead and foul.
I just wanted you to recognize that I didn't even respond to that bullshit.
Nah, I'm just saying you got another body that can go ahead and flagrant foul and foul the hell out of Harden. That's why I was like, ooh, okay, here you go. Now you got like 9 bodies that can go ahead and go ahead and foul somebody. Like, oh, we ain't got to use our good players. We just use these bodies.
Well, speaking of good players, Zion and the Pelicans, are they the new 2001 Clippers?
So, for those who don't know, because, again, Reggie's going to say I'm old.
You are. You sound like Omar. Yeah. And you want to bring up old school teams every time.
Well, I couldn't think of a team that was like this, that was recent. The Clippers were the Clippers that had Keon Dooling, Lamar Odom, the Skull Brothers, which they have their own podcast, which I think we're better than, with Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson and Elton Brand, who was one of my favorite players. They had an exciting team. They were throwing oops, catching, doing dances and everything, but couldn't win shit. They barely made it to the playoffs every year, but yet they were one of the more exciting teams to watch in the NBA. The last couple of nights with the Pelicans, they have been exciting basketball and terrible basketball on the same note. You've had a squad that's their starting 5 is averaging over 17 points a game per player, but they're also giving up 139 points in single games, including losses to Denver as well as to Dallas. I didn't mean Denver. I meant to say Dallas with Luka. Are the New Orleans Pelicans going to be this nice new shiny thing every time Zion comes into town? They're going to go ahead and put on a show, but they can't do anything. I'll give you one better. They look like the Clippers with Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan, and Blake Griffin. Again, another squad that really didn't do anything, but they were exciting to watch.
They always made it to the second round of the playoffs.
They did, but will this team end up being like this with Drew Holiday, Lonzo, B.I., Brandon Ingram, and, of course, Zion himself? I really think that if they don't get their defensive prowess together, and I don't know if that means that coaching change once the offseason is with Alvin Gentry, who I like it, especially as an African-American coach. We don't have that many of them in sports, period, even though he's been recycled like 10 times. This is what that team's going to look like, and I think it's a waste of point. You're just going to have basically Lonzo be throwing hoops to Zion Williams all the time, and Brandon Ingram just going ahead and penetrating, which doesn't equate for wins. So where do we stand from here? Can we get them to play defense? What do the Pelicans need to do to take it to the next level? They're young because the average player on the team is only in their fourth year, but that's what this is looking like. They show absolutely no defense, none, but they can score their asses off.
So the defensive part, they're going to get better because Zion's a monster. And he's the leader of that team, and he plays his heart out almost every night. So they're going to get better because defense is effort, and as long as he stays the leader of that team, and he keeps giving the effort he gives every night, they're going to start doing better on defense. I don't even think that's a question. I think right now they're young, they're learning how to play with Zion because he's been injured the entire year up until January.
Yep. Correct.
It's a reason you want to start covering this team because you kind of see the same thing I see. Isn't Drew Holiday still part of this team?
Yeah, I hope he doesn't ask for trade.
I mean, right now, I don't know that he will.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. Because right before they got the lottery pick, knowing that was going to be number one, and basically it was Zion, Drew Holiday wanted out, and then he came back and said, "Hey, I'll try it again." And I think that was because of Zion. He knew he had something in there, the potential-wise. I mean, Zion right now, Alonzo and Zion are looking like a poor man's version of Sean Kemp and Gary Payton, the way they throw these alley hoops to each other at the same time.
Well,
I haven't seen that in a long time.
I think what's about to happen is they exceed that team because that team never won the championship. I think they're going to put shooters around this team, around these two guys. They already got a pretty damn good athlete in Alonzo Ball. Listen, I think the league better be happy Zion was hurt this year. And, yeah, he kind of redshirted the first half of his career so far. But I think next year, especially if they do anything as far as getting shooters around these guys, get you a PJ Tucker or get you a good defensive player that can hit spot up threes, all of a sudden this team isn't at the 8 anymore. This team is in that top 4 pushing everybody else. And they're younger than everybody else.
Right.
And they're going to get better. Yeah, and they're going to get better. And he's going to get healthier. Man, it's a reason you wanted to start covering this Pelicans team. Don't think I'm stupid.
Yes.
Don't think I'm dumb at all. I don't know what the hell you think I'm smoking, but it ain't that good.
Bruh, I've seen something.
Like, you don't have to be a genius to see this. They were playing pretty well before he got healthy. And then he gets healthy, and he just seems to get better. And this is, like, he's got everyone he's playing against saying, damn, this dude is going to be a monster soon.
The funny thing is they were clowning. When he first got hurt, everybody was talking about he wasn't ready, he's too heavy, he ain't going to be able to jump, he walks weird, his butt's too big, which I have no idea why the hell that was a topic of conversation. But then he comes, And then Zion is bullying these guys. I haven't seen bullying like this since Shaq was in the league.
Yeah,
a healthy.
but
Shaq.
he's. I'm sorry, Shaq, because he's not the same type of dominant because he's more versatile than Shaq was.
Right, of course, he can hit free throws too.
Yeah, more versatile. He's a better all around player. Shaq was just a bull, and everyone else was like the little
cattle.
people. What are them things called with the red thing? That be trying to get the bull to chase them. The bull.
I got you.
The bullfighter. The bullfighter. Yeah.
I honestly would say, like I keep saying, I keep calling Zion the Charles Barkley first year in Phoenix, last year in Philly years, because he was just bullied then too, and that's what Zion's looking like. The only difference is he doesn't have the same mouth as Charles, which is always box office to hear. But man, my man is going off, and that's why I was like, look, if we're going to cover an underdog team, I'm going to take the Pelicans.
Okay.
You can have a Rocket. We'll figure out something. We'll figure out something with Spurs when when Omar come back. We'll figure out what team he wants.
He wants the Bulls. He wants the Bulls. Let him have the Bulls.
Lord.
They're going to be the ultimate underdog for the next 10 years if he actually wants to cover them. Because, he wants to talk about everything but the Bulls, at least as they're currently constructed. He wants to go back to the 90s. He wants to live the golden days, 72-10.
Yeah, I know.
Anyway,
shout out to you, Omar. If you hear it, well, we with you, but the curse of Michael Jordan is forever and a day going to be there for you.
Over all the organizations he was a part of in his career, including the ones that he's owned. Anyway,
you got the hardest one. You got the hardest one to deal with. Sorry.
Anyway, we're going to close the show off talking about the NFL a little bit as the CBA went out to all the players, all the voting members yesterday. The deadline for these players to ratify or vote down this deal is Thursday, March 12th at 11:59 p.m. The franchise tag deadline is Thursday, March 12th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. The owners have said they will not move that date to coincide with the vote. I think that's probably because they don't expect this deal to go through. But that's just how I feel about it. Today the deal got an endorsement by Ryan Fitzpatrick. He basically said, in the deal that the players asked for things and the owners gave them parts of the things that they've asked for. So he said yes. He's going to vote yes. Of course, their executive committee, led by DeMaurice Smith, wants the deal to go through because he said something about once the TV revenue comes in that the deal could get the players revenue sharing up to 55% throughout this deal. So all the negatives we heard about this, and we kind of knew this was going to happen because this is a bottom-up league as far as what makes up these teams. These teams are full of players that don't make Patrick Mahomes' next contract money. Richard Sherman, money. Aaron Rodgers, money. You got players making, let's say, Kalen Sanders. Kalen Sanders of the Chiefs, money. I don't know his name, money. $500,000 a year, money. Not $14 million, not $10 million, not $8 million, not $30 million. Hell, not $2 million. $500,000 to get 3 concussions a year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of players that need this extra money, this extra change that they're going to get in this new deal. And they have faith that when this TV money comes in, the minimum wage is going to increase significantly for them. So they're going to be fine with this new deal. It's the top down players that have a problem with this deal.
I just seen. So I've been seeing Aaron Rodgers says he's unsure if players really are looking at the CBA.
Yeah, because he's making $30 million.
Top tier player.
Right.
But here, like you said, Ryan Fitzpatrick saying yes. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a journeyman NFL player.
Exactly.
He's been on several teams.
And he resonates with who?
He's going to resonate with the regular player. This is almost, you know what? This is a breakdown of. This is very interesting. But this is actually like real politics.
Yes, I was waiting on you to get there.
Middle class, lower class, and upper class. The upper class doesn't want to do it because they're not getting anything out of it. While the lower class is like, hey, we'll take the extra money. You know, we'll do anything we can to get this little bit of change.
Yeah.
That it helps our families in the long run because we got bills to pay and we're not guaranteed money. And not everybody can be a superstar. You're talking about the NFL where it's a 53-man roster and typically 33 through 53 are on the bench. Wait.
The roster's going up to 55 and active players 55. Is going up to, 47, 48?
Correct. Yes.
So now more players are getting a piece of the pie.
Mm-hmm.
So in addition to this league being bottom up, more players are now going to get a piece of the active day game roster pie.
Correct.
These are voting members of the union that were not getting game checks because they were not active. They game bonus checks or game checks, depends on their contract, because they were not active. Now you're going to have an issue with not activating Shady McCoy because you didn't even have this roster spot last year, so I know damn well I'm number 47.
Right, exactly.
So, listen, there's going to be some players that want this deal done, and it's not just Ryan Fitzpatrick. This is the haves and the have-nots. This is politics. This is inter-union politics, and this is why ownership will always control NFL players because the wages are so dramatically different.
I will say this, though. The NFL Players Association, if they were smart, they would have a no media clause to their guys right now, or have a hey guys, let's not bring this to the media, because when you bring it out to the media with Aaron Rodgers saying no and JJ tweeting no and Russell Wilson having his feedback, that makes it seem like they're in power. And if I'm a lower tier guy and it's the off season and hey, I may not be on this team, I may be a Steeler tomorrow or Chief the next day and a Texan the next day, because it is possible. I don't need you to speak for me because you don't even know me.
Right.
And you're going over to ESPN saying, well, I don't believe this. Aaron, you don't know me.
So
you're a Packer.
That makes
you're a top-tier Packer.
A very good point. Because on Tuesday, 2 days before the final votes are due with this CBA, the Players Union will have an election for the next Players Union president. That happens Tuesday because Eric Winston's term is up, and he is not eligible for a new term because he hasn't played in the last 2 years.
Has this been 2? It should have been locked. 3. I didn't see Eric Winston because he was a Texan.
He hasn't played within the last 2 years. His term started while he was still playing, and now it's ending, and he hasn't played. So that's happening. Russell Okung wants to run. If I'm a lower tier player, I want Raheem Mostert or Damian Williams, or give a young player who has not yet gotten their money, or a young journeyman player, not somebody making $10 million a year or more.
I'll be real. I would like Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I wouldn't.
Guys been on.
I wouldn't because he's making decent money. I want a run-of-the-mill special teams star. What's his name? The Chiefs safety that I can't stand. Oh God,
there's a couple of them.
It's the white guy. I didn't want to say it like that. Daniel Sorensen. I want him to be the union's president. I want somebody that works for everything they get because they're just trying to stay on the damn roster. That's what I want. Give me a grunt to lead this organization. Because
I can see that.
These millionaires are out for them. This is you're right. This is a lot like politics. Let's get the working wage up to $15 an hour. Let's get the minimum wage in the NFL to at least $1 million, especially if you can pay a broadcaster $1 million a game plus to talk about football.
Correct, because this is the one thing is when you have dissension amongst the players, you may never. This thing is going to go on a lot longer than expected. So they're thinking this is going to end.
I think
right
it
before
is.
The franchise stuff.
I think it is. I think these players at the bottom of the rate are going to be happy and thrilled to get this extra money, and they're going to vote yes. And it's more of them than superstars. And the superstars are going to bitch, but they're members of a union, and they need to start looking out for everyone and not just them.
That I agree with. But I do think this is interesting because this is going to be something that people are going to not realize that this is what goes on behind the scenes. I've seen comments saying, well, hey, I don't know why they're all millionaires, like it or not. But they're not. But there's a huge difference between a guy that took 10 years to get $2 million and a guy that's making $30 million off of one. There's a huge difference between a guy that just made his first $1 million after being in the league for 10 or for 5 years versus a guy that's been hurt all season long that made 20.
Brother, it's the difference between a 4th and 5th round draft pick and the number 1 round draft pick. Okay,
exactly.
And these are card carrying union members who are making $400,000, $500,000 a year.
Exactly. So this is going to be a very interesting topic for the NFL to go ahead and fix. I don't think they were really expecting to have to deal with this. I think the owners knew what they were going into, but I didn't see the players going to have this much tension between them. But again, I'm with you. I think the players are going to have to ride with there's more lower tier than upper tier. So yeah, they're just going to have to bite that bullet, and it's going to be an extra game for that extra check. It is what it is.
It is what it is. That's pretty much our show. I did want to throw a quick shout out to my main man, Patrick Mahomes, saying, I know I want to get paid and take care of my family, but I want to make sure that I got championship material around me too. Bro, could you imagine this type of mentality if Brady had the skill, like the arm and the athleticism of a Patrick Mahomes? You know how dominant they would have been. If they,
a whole basketball segment.
It wasn't. We was talking about the CBA. What you talking about? Anyway, we had
to get it cheap.
Hey, really? Yes, I had to throw in Patrick Mahomes because every now and again I look at this flag to my right and it says KC, and it makes me get all warm and fuzzy inside. Monday, Jay Swish will be back with us as we start talking about Major League Baseball and the Houston Astros and Kansas City Royals. Till then, I'm KC Reginald Jr.
It's your man J-Dub in the building. Justin is in the game.
This has been Underdawg Sportz.
Peace.
From powering smarter ATMs and video tellers at banks to fueling kiosk ordering in restaurants, Comcast Business Connectivity helps businesses deliver extraordinary customer experiences. How can we help your business? Comcast Business. Beyond fast.
Hi, welcome to Metro by T-Mobile.
Hi, my dad is in serious need of an upgrade.
Yeah, my phone's a fossil.
He needs a new phone and a new network stat.
Well, when he switches to Metro, he can get an amazing iPhone 7 with HD Retina display for just $99.99 after ID validation.
Wow, $99.99?
Bye-bye, fossil.
Requires porting of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. With validation of ID. An independent database limit 4 per account/household. 32 gigabyte model only. See store for details and terms and conditions.